Hi, I'm Sarah from The Upcoming. Such a pleasure to be able to speak to you today. Maybe just kick off with a brief introduction to The Beekeeper. People who don't know anything about the film, what can they expect?
So The Beekeeper is like an old school action movie. It's an instant action classic in the vein of like a Lethal Weapon or a Die Hard. It's just fun escapist cinema with a lot of action and a lot of Jason.
And of course, you've penned a lot of screenplays right at the beginning of your career, directed a lot of screenplays of your own. What made you decide to not do that on this occasion? And what was it about Kurt's script that really jumped out to you and you thought, right, I just really want to run with this?
I mean, with Kurt's script, I loved the mythology of beekeeping and the beekeeper. It was interesting to learn this ancient history that sort of threaded its way through all societies, and this metaphor of the beekeeper as this force of good that can fix systems when systems can't fix themselves. And then you add the humor and the tone of it and the idea of escapist cinema, which isn't something I've done before. I've always done more kind of intense drama. And I just wanted to make a movie like the movies that inspired me to become a filmmaker.
And to perhaps name drop some of those movies or directors, what were you thinking about? What did you have in mind? And how did you want to infuse that into your movie?
Absolutely. Like John McTiernan, Walter Hill, Dick Donner. I mean, those are the kind of the action greats, the classic Hollywood directors that made the films that I think we all remember. And so it's just interesting to reverse engineer, why do those movies work and what is it about them? And it's always having an amazing movie star, having some humor, having some drama, having amazing action, not taking yourself too seriously. And it was a scary exercise for me, but I'm very happy with how the film came out.
And of course, Jason Statham, I mean, one of the foremost action stars of our time, and perhaps, achieved that rare thing of being such a star here in the UK and totally, conquering Hollywood as well. What were some of the movies you'd seen him in that really thought you were going to be right for this part? But what was your approach in perhaps getting him into this character, what might be different from what he's done before?
I mean, he is an icon, and it's interesting because, his early career, very British movies, very British films, very British characters, and it's funny because you're never going to take the North London out of him. I mean, he is very much who he is, and he's a martial artist, he's an athlete, he's a fighter, but he also does his own stunts, and that was new for me because so many times when you make these movies, you're filming a stunt person and then trying to drop in actor faces into the edit so it feels like the actor's doing it. In this case, I was really able to design and execute some amazing action because he could do it. He taught me a lot about action. He's so encyclopedic in his knowledge of action and the action genre and just the process of it. And I learned an incredible amount from him.
In fact, I remember seeing an interview with him, and I was really struck by his humility. And does come from quite a humble background, doesn't come from sort of theatre or traditional sort of acting training, but he's just got such a passion for what he does, and like you say, such a dedication to this action genre. Was that something that really struck you, and that really come across on set?
I'll be honest, I was a little intimidated to meet him because he is a legend. He is such an icon, and the characters he portrays are so strong and stoic. And to hang out with him and understand the person a little bit and see how family oriented he is and how humble he is and how funny he is. I mean, he just has this wicked dry sense of humor, and I think there's a joy in him that would surprise people. And working with him, I'd like to think we developed a great friendship in that work relationship and definitely an incredible trust. I operated camera a lot, and so having that director star connection really comes across in the film.
And coming to the action sequences, I mean, there must be, there's such a skill in making them look believable. People sort of, not seeing kind of the edges. Where do you think the secret is to pulling off these stunts? Is it in the prep, the choreography? I guess working with such a talent like Jason, Is a lot of it in the technology that you use, the cameras? Is it in the edit? Like, what is the secret to pulling off all these amazing sequences?
Well, it's interesting because in the most reductionist way, it's a person and a camera. You're photographing the movement of a person. So much of it depends upon how that person moves, and then having an understanding of photography, and then really having the preparation and the choreography, because each action sequence is like a little mini story. And so having the action develop and become interesting and go to unexpected places is about the vision of the action choreographer in a lot of cases. And Jeremy Marinas just did an amazing job. He comes from the 8711 stunt alumni there, and has an understanding of just human movement and kinetics that I've never seen before. So it's it's a combination of a lot of really talented people making me look good.
And did you have like a favorite sequence? I mean, there's a lot of creativity that goes into it. So, like, how many different ways can we have Jason sort of going at these various antagonists? Did you have a favorite one that you had to film?
I mean, it's interesting. I think, one of the most challenging sequences for me was, it's this truck stop gas station, and this very interesting woman shows up with a large machine gun and causes havoc. And I wish I had more time and more preparation. It was early in the shoot, and I was very nervous about it. And it felt like a lot of run and gun triage on set. Very worried about the sequence. But then when I saw the edit, I saw it cut together. It was fantastic, and I was actually really happy with how it came out. So it's always striking to me how my impression of what's happening isn't necessarily what is happening as a filmmaker.
And you were saying at the beginning there, I guess, kind of like, in that sort of style of the 80s and 90s action film, it's not always taking itself too seriously. So although sort of like the Beekeeper kind of mythology is there, there's also kind of puns that are thrown in. Did you kind of have a bit of fun playing around with that tone and some of those jokes?
Absolutely, and I went too far. I definitely went too far, because there's a lot more bee puns that didn't make it into the movie. But uh, at a certain point, they're like, Dave, you gotta. But I had options, as they said, plenty of options, and we found like the right balance. And I think it's like anything, you experiment, you have fun, and when you put it together, you find the right level and the right alchemy. It's a mystery making any movie. You really never know how they're going to come out, and I'm so proud of this one because it is just good escapist cinema.
And of course, we didn't even mention, his co-stars. I mean, Jeremy Irons, Minnie Driver, and of course Josh Hutcherson. And I was thinking quite a lot of Brits in your film. What was it like, kind of bringing, I guess, some such veterans like Jeremy alongside Josh? What was it like bringing all these people together?
It was amazing to work with them. I mean, Josh plays an absolutely despicable human being, and Jeremy Irons is has this gravitas and this presence, and is such a serious, person, and feels like a leader. And you combine them, and he's just wrangling this madman, and that relationship is a lot of fun and really interesting. I always want to work with the best actors I can, and I just got lucky on this one.
I think that's almost my time. But just and you've done such an array of films already. What are you looking forward to doing next? Is there any itches left to scratch? And will we ever see that Suicide Squad cut, do you think? Or is that something that you're putting behind you now?
Well, I'm starting another film with Jason, Levant's Trade. As far as anyone seeing my actual work on Suicide Squad, that's going to be up to the studio.
No worries at all. Thank you so much for sharing all that with me. And I cannot wait for everyone to see The Beekeeper. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so
Nice
much.
to chat to you.
Cheers.
Thanks a lot.